everyone, and welcome to your free one-shot. If you're listening to this, you love free things, and we appreciate you. We love you. Whether you're listening to this on listening streaming services or if you're listening to this on Patreon for free, we want to thank you for the support. This is Dive Into the Longbox's one-shot number 5. I'm joined here by my good Canadian brother, Ajax. Hello, how are you, my friend?
Heyo.
On the paid edition of Dive Into the Longbox, which is available now on Patreon if you're listening to this, at the $2 tier, we reviewed Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., joined by Snide, and it was a doozy. We talked about some fun things. It was a fun time. We also talked about a fan casting for Gen 13, so go check that out if you guys want to listen to that. It was a fun time, and we're actually going to jump into a topic here that I think needs to be discussed now, because I said it last time on the recorded paid one. I don't like to date our stuff, but there's a lot of controversies coming out when it comes to movies like The Flash and other DC movies when people, say they're bad or whatever. But I like to look at the positive, Ajax. I like to look at the positive. What is your favorite quote-unquote bad superhero movies? And by bad, I mean other people, it's not loved by everyone. Other people don't fawn over it. It's not necessarily a horrible movie. It could be. But what is some bad superhero movies that you're a fan of? If you want me, I could go first to name one.
Oh, I can go. I already got my first answer.
Oh, then go ahead. Feel free.
This is a slam dunk for me. It's Batman and Robin.
That's my number one. That was my number one.
That's my. Listen,
Oh my
I know
God.
it's a bad movie. I'm not here to defend Batman and Robin and say it's a
Absolutely
good
not.
movie. It doesn't really have a whole lot of artistic merit to it, but as just a movie to just fuck around and watch, it's so much fun.
It's just, if you turn off your brain, just have a good time.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. If you don't take it seriously, then you can have a good time watching it.
Exactly. That was literally I was going to say that movie when I said I got my number one. Well, actually, my number 2 is one that I think you will agree with me. It is not a bad movie, but people don't give it enough credit. And when people do talk about it, they're like, when they talk. And I don't know why they say that. But my number 2, Spawn. I love the Spawn movie. It's not perfect, but I love it. I watch it multiple times. I enjoy it. John, dude, let me tell you something though. The casting in the movie knocked out the park. They killed it with the casting.
Yeah, I think they did about as well as they could.
And John Leguizamo. Oh my God.
The Violator, yeah.
Dude.
He's amazing.
Blows my mind every time I watch it. Could have been better? Of course. By the way, that movie came out a year before Nick Fury.
It did. It sure did.
And I mean, for what it is, I mean, it's pretty close to the books. It's not super off.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's remarkably close enough. I mean, besides the fact that in the middle of that, Todd and Rob I don't think it was a lawsuit, but Rob was just like, well, you can't use Chapel anymore because Chapel belongs to me. And then in the middle of that, Todd has to make up a new character for Spawn's origin as to who killed him. So he makes up Jessica Priest for the movie, and then later retcons Jessica Priest in the comic book to be Spawn's killer as well.
Yep. And I gotta say, think about the time frame, 97. There wasn't a lot of superhero movies before this. If they were, it wasn't what we have now. I think now, if they were like, yo, let's make a Spawn movie, I think it could be a movie of the year if they do it nowadays. Now with the knowledge they have of a comic book movie, they could knock it out the park now.
Todd has been saying that he's been working on a Spawn movie for the past 5 years, and I don't fucking believe him.
I'm calling your bluff,
I don't.
Todd.
I don't. He's like, oh yeah, we got Jamie Foxx to do Spawn. We've got Jeremy Renner to play. Was that Sam or Twitch? I can't remember which one. And I'm like, this all sounds great, but where's the proof?
Yeah, I want to see something.
Where is anything? Can you give me on-set shots? Can you give me anything that I can sink my teeth into?
Yeah.
There's
and Michael J. White was such a great Spawn. When I read Spawn books to this day, because I saw the movie before I read anything Spawn, just because we had the DVD of it, and that's just what I watched. So when I read the books after, I heard his voice, And I mean, if you listen to the cartoon too, I heard that one as well. But I think he nailed it. He's a perfect Spawn. Honestly, he still looks like he could play Spawn. If they let him play Spawn now, I'd be cool with it.
They probably could if you just keep him in the costume.
Yeah,
Like,
he could do it
probably still
again.
could.
He was good in that movie. He had a cool sounding voice. He's an actual like martial artist.
Legit.
Who played the
Legit
voice in the
martial
cartoon?
artist. Keith David.
Really? Why did I not notice that?
Keith David, yeah. To me, Keith David is Spawn. There's no question about it.
That was
for me.
He's great as him.
For those that don't know, Keith David, also the voice of Julius from Saints Row.
Holy shit, he is.
Yep.
God, I'm
That's
learning
how
so
that's
much
how
today.
I knew of him when I was a kid.
Also in Riddick.
Oh, I think his best live action movie role is They Live with Roddy Piper. That fucking 10-minute fight scene that they have that goes on forever is one of the greatest, fight scenes in all of movie history.
Oh man. But yeah, I'd say Spawn's up there. It's not, again, I never have seen it as a bad movie, but other people, I think if you rank superhero movies, people wouldn't put that high up, and I think they should. That needs to be, put some respect on Spawn's name, all right? Spawn walked so your Infinity War could run.
I think it's enjoyable. There's some parts of it that's very enjoyable, and then there's some parts of it where it just feels extremely dated.
Yeah.
Especially the CGI.
Yes, definitely.
Like when Spawn goes to hell, that CGI looks terrible.
Yeah, when Violator at the end turns into fucking, that's very
And you see all
claymation.
like these, like, hell. Yeah, you see all like these like hell spawns or hell demons. They just look like superimposed like clones of each other.
Yup, which is probably what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very. That I can agree with. Very dated in that sense. But besides that, I'll always turn that movie on maybe once a year, just watch it and just chill. I drew a picture of Violator while watching that movie because I was like, yeah, this is cool.
That's pretty sick.
Oh man.
I'll give you another movie.
Okay.
And this one is topical because the lead actor of the movie passed away. I want to say maybe a month ago. Punisher Warzone.
Oh yes, he just passed away a couple weeks ago. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. Punisher Warzone is actually a better movie than I think the critics gave credit for.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know what they were expecting when they came into that movie, but to me, like when I watched that movie, I was like, "That's a Punisher movie."
Yeah, that's Punisher.
But that's unmistakably like a Punisher movie.
Yeah, and it was my dad went to go see it, and I was like, I don't, because when did that come out?
2008.
2008. So I was about what, 9?
I would have been.
No,
12.
I was 11. I was 11. So like my dad at the time. My dad still was like, I don't want you seeing like that too much. But I remember he came home and was like, when you're older, dude, like that's Punisher. Like that's what his quote. His exact words are, "That's what I'm fucking talking about." Dude, my dad since Punisher's first. He doesn't have it anymore, but he was there like getting Punisher for so long. He had all the Warzone books. His favorite one is where he's mowing the lawn, and the lawn is the Punisher skull. We actually just found that. We actually just found that one a couple weeks ago. But that was like his bread and butter Spawn. His whole life loved Spawn. Punisher. What am I saying? Punisher. So when I heard from him, like, yeah, this is Punisher, I was like, all right, it's a good movie.
We really have to bring your dad on and talk some Punisher with him someday.
Definitely.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I'd love to look through his long box of books here. I have an entire long box of just his books.
That would be a great, video podcast episode if we could do that.
Absolutely. I could definitely do it. Another one that I had on this list that I don't know if this is shocking to you. I watched it for the first time less than a week ago.
Okay.
It was actually this past week I watched it. I wouldn't say it's a bad superhero movie I love, but it's one that I don't hate. It's one that I saw it and I was like, all right, this got hate, but it was trying to be like an art piece, which is what I expect from it.
Mm-hmm.
The Spirit. I didn't despise it. I didn't
okay.
despise it, but when I watched it, I was like, I know what they're going for. They're going for that 300 Sin City thing. That's what they did. And when there was, I think why I liked it was there were certain shots that I was like, that's, if you put that in you could just take these screen for screen and put it in a comic book and it would work. And I think that's what I liked about it was that art sense of it. I think that's why I appreciated it was for that sense. Like there's a scene, obviously it's directed by Frank Miller, so you got to have the fight in the mud like it's The Dark Knight Returns.
Of course.
So like he's punching Sam Jackson in the mud, and I was like, damn, that looks cool. And he's just like bashing his face in, the mud splashing everywhere, and the way it's like on them, it's like caked on them like a comic. I'm like, that looks cool. And I don't know, it was just I see it more as an art project than anything else.
Yeah,
the story, it wasn't.
I really want to like that movie. Yeah, I really want to like that movie because I like the Spirit. I think the Spirit is
Spirit's
a cool
cool
character. I really want to like that movie. I just can't. There's so many problems with it.
Yeah, I loved it from an art sense of just
how they framed the shots.
It was framed like exactly like a comic book, and like the dialogue is cheesy, but I'm like, that's what would be in a book. Like I could see that, and like the Spirit's kind of cheesy. Like that's just how he's always been. It's a cheesy kind of character, but he's cool. I think the casting they did was great for him. The guy from, I think he was in White Collar, I think so. Yeah,
not terrible casting, really.
Yeah, they did good for that. Also has what's her face in it?
Eva Mendes.
Yeah, she's naked in it too.
Shout out.
Yeah, yo, shout out. You if you want to be on the podcast. I could tell you a movie that won't be on my list because I don't like it at all is Catwoman. I will never be on any of my list.
I don't think there's any redeemable qualities about Catwoman. And that's saying a lot because I don't hate Halle Berry as an actress.
Yeah.
I just think that's a really bad movie.
Someone just explained The Spirit perfectly. I actually just found a top 10 list. The Spirit was #1 on the best bad superhero movies. They said The Spirit is like The Room of superhero movies. If The Room was based on a beloved character, had A-list actors in it, and was directed by a legendary comic creator. Oh, man. Someone said Frank Miller was put in the director's chair, but maybe he shouldn't have been. Yeah. I mean, I found some charm in it that I do in other movies. But I think a movie that I'm going to say right now is going to piss off a lot of people. And it's a movie that I enjoyed for what it was. It gets a lot of hate, and I'm going to get canceled for this. Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah, I can't agree with you on that.
I'm not gonna say Batman vs Superman. That was a bad movie, and I thought it was okay when I saw it, but I'm not gonna watch it again. Man of Steel, I'm like, I'll watch it again. It's not what I want out of a Superman movie at all, but I was like, Cavill was good as Superman. I wish I got more Clark, but I didn't. I got more of Superman killing people. I was like, it's not Superman.
It's just edgy bullshit to me.
But like I said, he's great as Superman. I think that's what I love about it so much is that I wish he was coming back for the James Gunn stuff because I think if they just rebooted it with Cavill, I think he'd be a phenomenal Clark and Superman. But yeah, I think there's an article here that says it perfectly. It fundamentally misunderstands everything about Superman. Every shining bright light about Superman is not in the movie. But for some reason,
it's dark and depressing the whole fucking time.
It is. And it was like a dark take on what it's like to be Superman, which is like, that's not Superman. But at the time, all the Zack Snyder shit was dark. So it was like, in between all the darkness, I was like, yeah, I like Man of Steel. You know what I mean? If I'm looking at all the Zack Snyder movies, I'm like, Man of Steel and Wonder Woman are up there of, my two favorites of that.
Zack Snyder made the Superman movie that Rob Liefeld wanted to make.
Literally. Hey, do you think Zack Snyder could make a Supreme movie?
Oh my god. So I was thinking, I had this idea in my head. So they don't want to bring back Henry to play a Superman.
Yes.
But they do want to make an Authority live action movie. And I was thinking,
they are doing it.
And I was thinking, what if Henry grows out his hair, dyes it white, and he plays Apollo?
That would be so sick.
Because if you see him in The Witcher, kind of easy to picture him as Apollo.
Yeah, it's not too out of the ordinary to imagine that.
I think that could work.
Dude, that'd be so sick. Have they put out a cast yet for that?
I don't think they have.
Oh, did you see DC put out the picture of Midnighter and Apollo, who have always been gay the whole time? People are like, why are you changing our characters and doing this? People are like, dog, when these characters were made, they were gay. What are you talking about?
They've been gay since day one.
Yeah, that's why I was reading the comments. I'm like, these people don't know. They do not know Wildstorm comics at all. These are definitely new fans. And one guy said, don't ruin my childhood. I love Batman. Dog, that's not Batman. That's Midnighter, bro. What are you saying?
It's so funny because I've always felt like Midnighter and Apollo was a gay couple treated with a lot of tact. It was treated very respectfully.
It wasn't there to like make a statement. They were just a normal couple that were just gay. That's it.
Yeah, it wasn't treated like it was a shock factor. They were treated like a normal couple.
It wasn't a shock factor, and it wasn't made to like boost sales or anything. It was just, yeah, these dudes are just gay. What about it? That's literally all it was.
It wasn't treated like a gimmick, which I appreciate that.
To which I was happy when I saw that DC post. Cause I'm like, oh, cool. They're actually recognizing these older characters again because, like, thank God for James Gunn bringing some of these older characters and teams back to the forefront that people may have forgotten about or don't know about, which is really, really, really cool. Which is why I'm hoping. Did you see what he tweeted the other day?
I did not.
Brother, he was like, oh, this is what I've been reading this week, and it was Wildcats. And I was like, oh, man, give me a Wildcats movie, James. Give me a Wildcats.
That's so funny that you say that, Gabe, because I remember when he tweeted that, because the Hurricane, pro wrestler Hurricane, replied to that, and he said, because James Gunn was reading the Alan Moore run of Wildcats.
Yes.
And Hurricane said, that's my favorite run of Wildcats. So I took the screenshot of that and I sent it to my friend, and then he posted it on Dirt Sheet Radio. So that kind of blew up from there.
Shout out Hurricane. Sure, Hurricane is like, for wrestling fans, probably the coolest comic book fan that's a wrestler. This man got the Green Lantern tattoo on his arm.
And I mean,
he made it his whole character.
I was about to say, his gear, pretty much Green Lantern when you think about it.
I think that's why I was such a fan of him growing up. Because I was like, man, this dude, he is a superhero. He gets it.
He is.
Oh, man. But that's cool. I'm like, the minute I saw the tweet, I was like, do it, James. I've been saying it since he put out the big press release of the movies coming out. I'm like, that better be your phase 2. Please put them in your phase 2. Please, please, please. I want to see, I think the reason is I want to see a live action Grifter that's cool. That's what I want to see. I love Grifter. Grifter is so sick.
You know what I gotta shout out, Gabe, and I know a lot of people don't like this movie. And sometimes I debate. Sometimes I wake up, Gabe, and I like this movie. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, this movie's the shit. Blade Trinity.
Yeah. Oh, I have the comic book for that.
I have a love-hate relationship with Blade Trinity.
Oh, man. Same.
Some days I watch it and I'm like, okay, it's fine for what it is.
That was my comfort movie in California.
Other days I watch it and I'm like, this is fucking terrible. Why did I watch this?
When I was in California, I had to stay alone in the hotel room and I had nothing to watch, but Blade Trinity was on Comcast, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to watch Blade Trinity. Are you kidding me? I think I'm just not going to watch Blade Trinity. Oh, man. Plus, it has Triple H in it, so I was like, yeah. He's playing with a little doggy with his grills.
Triple H turns in like in one of the all-time worst performances I've ever seen, and I love
Yes. What's shocking, by the way, about this list that I'm looking at, I can quickly just say the names on the list. Mm-hmm. Number 10 is Ant-Man. So this is an all-time list, and that's very shocking.
Ant-Man is kind of divisive.
Yeah, I didn't hate Ant-Man. I didn't think it was that bad.
Ant-Man is not a batch of movies that I hate.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I'm going to go and rewatch.
No.
I just find it very cookie-cutter MCU.
Yeah, it's that when you expect MCU to make the jokes and all that stuff, it's you're getting Ant-Man or Guardians.
Yeah, but Guardians is good.
Yeah, Guardians is real fucking good.
Real good. The problem is that Guardians was so good that they're like, well, we have to make every movie like that now. And it's like, no, you don't.
Which is why I'm happy Secret Wars isn't like that. Did you see the trailer for it? It is so serious, dude. Oh my god. Motherfuckers dying and shit. I was like, oh my god.
Fuck, I hope so, because I'm just dying for like a movie that treats itself seriously.
This is like the last time I saw a Marvel movie that was this dark, it was probably Civil War. You know, like Dark Civil War was, where it was like very like, it was like political and stuff, and it was like very like serious. That's how this is. It's like that serious. I'm very intrigued. But this list has number 10, Ant-Man, number 9, Batman Forever. Hell yeah.
I like Batman Forever.
Yeah, me too. Listen, man, all the 90s Batman movies, like, I love those. Like, I'm not even gonna front. Because I grew up watching those. Like, I watched those VHSs with my dad and brother. Like, those are, I don't know. Maybe it's nostalgia, but I love those movies. I had the glass cups from, like, I think it was Burger King or McDonald's, whoever sold them. You know what I'm talking about the Batman?
Yeah, I think it was McDonald's.
I think it was Batman and Robin, though. Or was it Batman Forever? I don't remember.
No, it was Batman Forever.
It was? Okay. Yeah, I had those.
They had those glasses that were, like, etched in, like, the actors. Like, you know, Val Kilmer playing Batman.
Yes.
Blah, blah,
blah. Yes. Number 8, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Never watched it.
Terrible movie.
When that movie came out, no idea it was a comic book movie.
A really good comic book.
And it has Sean Connery.
Comic book. I love Sean Connery, but not his finest.
Number 7. Number 7 on this list isn't a movie I necessarily hate as well. I think the sequel to this one was 10 times worse, making this one not as bad, but I do have a lot of complaints. X-Men Apocalypse. A part of the First Class series.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a big fan of that one.
Yeah, because, like, yeah. I think Apocalypse that's one with Apocalypse and stuff where, like, he just looks normal.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Granted, the Dark Phoenix was even worse. So I'm like, all right, Apocalypse isn't too bad. It could be worse.
Yeah.
I thought they could have done Apocalypse a lot better. And I remember people were like, oh, he doesn't have the white eyes. And then eventually in the movie, he does get the white eyes. And I'm like, all right, it looks like Apocalypse now. But that's how he should look the whole fucking movie. Like, come on, guys. What are you doing? Number 6, X-Men Origins Wolverine. I don't even like watching the movie. I don't have fun watching it.
It's not a fun movie to watch. You know what pisses me off about the movie? Oh, I'm really going to get it on my soapbox with this. The fucking goober that they casted to play Gambit.
The guy from,
Awful.
he was in, was that Percy Jackson? No, not Percy Jackson.
I don't know. I think his real name is Taylor Klitsch. I think that's his real name.
Yeah. Let me see. Taylor.
He's Canadian. He's Canadian. So you're casting a fucking Canadian, and he does the worst fucking Bayou accent I've ever heard in my life.
It was John Carter he was in.
Oh, yeah.
It's the guy from John Carter, which he scored right after Wolverine. Wolverine came out 2009. He scored John Carter 2012. He was in the movie, that Battleship movie. Oh, he was on Snakes on a Plane? Sick.
No, don't hype him up, please. Please don't hype him up.
Oh, he was in John Tucker Must Die.
Oh my God! Stop! Oh my God! Brutal.
Oh man,
brutal. I hate that movie. Hate the movie, love the game though.
Yeah,
Love the video game.
it's crazy that they got a video game.
And it's crazy that the video game is infinitely better than the movie.
Who watched John Tucker Must Die and was like, that needs a game? Like,
wait, what? John Tucker Must Die got a game?
Oh wait, that's what I thought you were talking about.
No, I was talking about X-Men.
That's why I was like, it did? And you were like, yeah, and I was like, who saw that and was like, that needs a game? Dude, that's why I was like, who would see that and be like, yeah, that needs a game?
No.
That's how I was like, it is good? Like, that's how I was so shocked.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, X-Men Origins movie. Yeah, the game was awesome. It was awesome.
Holy shit.
I was so confused. Also, without that movie, wouldn't have gotten Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, so.
Yeah, but not a great performance by Ryan, actually, in that movie.
No. I don't even think they let him do a lot, really, in the movie, which sucked.
No, they didn't.
But number 5 was Man of Steel, which we already discussed. 4, Batman and Robin, that we discussed. Number 3, very fitting, X3, The Last Stand. I mean,
is that the one where they introduced Juggernaut?
The Juggernaut, bitch. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where
terrible.
like Phoenix like fries Wolverine's body. That's the movie that's not canon anymore because in Days of Future Past they fixed it and it didn't happen. Do you remember that?
I mean, if I casted Vinnie Jones to play the Juggernaut, I would want to retcon that as well.
That's just the best line of all time. Who am I? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Oh man, nothing will beat the Deadpool Juggernaut. Like that was just, it's unfair how perfect they did that Juggernaut. Because now no one will ever beat that in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, Deadpool got Colossus right, and they got Juggernaut right.
You killed Black Tom, you racist. Dude, like that movie put Black Tom in. That's crazy. Never been in live action before that. Oh man. Oh yeah, but number 2, Catwoman, and number 1, The Spirit. Catwoman, I mean,
so they're trying to.
They
argue
played
that
basketball.
It's an awesomely bad movie. Is that what they're trying to argue?
but it's not though.
Yeah, it's just bad.
It's
like,
just
there's
bad.
no redeemable qualities about Catwoman.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Catwoman the same way I see like X-Men Origins Wolverine, like not fun to watch. You watch it once, you don't need to watch it ever again in your life, unless someone pays you.
You know what's a movie that I think gets a really bad rep that I actually really like? Well, okay, maybe really like is a stretch, but I like it. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. Spider-Man 3.
Oh, dude, I just watched that the other day.
I don't think Spider-Man 3 is that bad.
Me and Justine
think
just watched all 3
very
Sam Raimi
contrived.
movies. We watched
Yeah.
all 3 Sam Raimi movies in one day, and we enjoyed all 3. We enjoyed the third one differently than the first 2, but
Sure.
but I mean that in a way where we had fun watching it. We were laughing and like having a good time. Like it's one of those movies that like stuff's happening, you're like, why did that happen? But it's like it doesn't ruin it. Like when he gets the symbiote, like what the fuck? But it's like you look forward to that scene now with how like social media has hyped it up, like with all the memes and all that. You look forward to watching that movie to see him be Goofy in the symbiote suit. Like this this motherfucker goes into a bar and says, "Find us some shade." You're inside, Peter. You are inside. Hands are a 20. Thanks, hot legs. Like what? Also, probably I gotta say, not only the best casting of Gwen Stacy ever, but the most attractive Gwen Stacy ever casted of all time. Oh
this is
God.
where I'm actually going to disagree with you, Gabe.
Really?
I think Emma Stone is the better Gwen Stacy.
Okay, I should have worded that differently because I forgot Gwen Stacy's an amazing Spider-Man.
Yes,
This is the thing. I
I
always saw
don't
her
like-
Gwen Stacy as more of a she reminded me more of Mary Jane than Gwen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're kind of the same. They're really just the same, different hair. Oh wait, and one's alive.
Ish.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
But okay. The best casting, like acting wise, is definitely Emma. But I think look wise, definitely goes to Spider-Man 3. Who plays her in Spider-Man 3?
Isn't it Bryce Dallas Howard?
It is Bryce Dallas Howard.
Fuck, I just pulled that name out of my ass.
Yeah. also, because in those movies, Green Goblin's dead, she cannot die. So that Gwen Stacy in that universe lives forever.
And then Green Goblin comes back and he fucks her, right?
Yeah. Because not
just
only
like
is
in the
Green Goblin
comics.
dead, his stupid son is dead.
That's right, yeah.
James Franco. Oh, man. Dude, I don't know. I love that movie. I think it's great. They blow up James Franco's face. That's hilarious the way it's filmed. He's all like two-faced out, and I was like, dude, that's just Two-Face. The way they like molded the face and all that.
Yeah, I like that movie. I like the guy that they got to play Sandman. Thought he did.
Oh
good.
my god, that was the best part of that movie was Sandman. I wish the whole movie was just Sandman as the villain, because me and my brother were talking about this 2 hours ago. Where we're saying like the story of Sandman in that movie was so good and like sad, And when they made the reveal that he killed Uncle Ben, I'm like, I'm cool with that. Like the reasoning behind it, I'm like, this is really good, and I wish that was the main point of the story, was just around him, because I wanted to know more about him. We didn't get enough about, like, we got a little bit with his family, where it's like they love him, but they know he's trouble, and he's like, I can't be around you guys. But it's like he did what he did for his family, and it's like, oh man, this is like sad and like real kinda. And he had to kill, like, he didn't want to kill Uncle Ben, but like it's, you know, it happened. He needed to get the stuff for his daughter, and I'm like, damn.
But Gabe, we have to get the wimpiest Venom ever. Fucking Eric from that
Eric
70s
Foreman?
show.
That, I always said he would have been casted great as Spider-Man, not Venom.
Yeah,
Eric would have always been a great
a
Spider-Man.
perfectly fine Spider-Man. Does not have the intimidation factor or the physique to play either Venom or Eddie Brock.
No. No, your Eddie Brock should have been who was your Flash. What's his name from True Blood?
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
Name's
Why am I drawing?
me at the moment?
Oh my god. It's gonna bother me now. Spider-Man 1 cast. Joe Manganiello. You dye his hair blonde. He was Flash in the first movie. And a lot of people forget that too, because it doesn't even look like him. But the way he looked, he had like the spiky hair. You just make it blonde, and that's Eddie Brock. And he's built like him. He was jacked in the movie.
Well, you know he played Flash, right? In the Sam Raimi movie?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He played Flash Thompson in the first one. But I think if he didn't play Flash, that's who should have been your Eddie Brock.
Yeah, that would have been a good choice, I think.
Yeah. Because like even that's what I was saying, while looking at him as Flash when he had like the spiky hair, I was like, dude, just make it blonde and that's Eddie. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Like, I get what they were going for, making him another nerdy photographer, but it's like, no. He was also a photographer, but he wasn't a nerd. He wasn't like a weird loser.
Yeah.
He was like a cool photographer. He was like a cool guy, you know. He was a really cool guy. But yeah, no, I even that though, like Topher Grace was, I laughed. I thought it was funny. Watching it back as him as Eddie Brock, when he's like, he would like take off, like the Venom thing would go away, and he was just like, "Oh, hey, Peter." And I was like, "What?" What? I think his goofiness would have been okay as a Carnage. I think.
Oh yeah.
He would have been really good as a Carnage. I think. Because also Venom didn't say like "we" when talking. He squealed like an animal in that movie. When stuff would happen, he'd be like, "Rah!" It was odd. He also didn't have like the Venom voice. It just sounded like Eric talking with like a little voice modulator.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man. But awesome movie. Amazing movie. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. But Ajax, I think it's time here to talk about our little comic that you wanted to highlight today.
So I just want to preface that, like, when I want to do like highlights of comic books, I don't really necessarily want to give out spoilers.
Yes.
Because I don't know. This could be someone's first time, you know, reading the comic book that I'm recommending them, even though it could be as extremely popular as, you know, the one that I'm recommending today, of course. But you never know. Like, there's always going to be new readers.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I want to highlight the Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
Because I think the Watchmen, to me, is like required reading.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're new to comic books, or you've been reading comics for a while but you've never read the Watchmen, which, you know, if you've never read the Watchmen and you've been reading comic books all along, what the hell are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
read the Watchmen.
Like, if there's anything
Like,
you should read, it's Watchmen.
You have to, because the Watchmen did so much for comic books.
Yeah.
You know, that was really the first book that deconstructed comic books. You know, deconstructed superheroes. And the effects were both good and bad, I would say.
Yeah. I think like if you people are listening to this and you love things like The Boys, and stuff like that, you need to read Watchmen, because like it's like that realistic look at superheroes where like on the outside, you know, they're heroes, whatever, but behind the scenes they're not good people. Some of them are not good people.
The Boys, and if you're a DC reader, The Authority.
Yes, especially with Authority coming out too.
Yeah.
Definitely to get
Um,
excited for that.
and I mean, Alan Moore writing it. I'm sure even if you've never read a comic book, you've heard of who Alan Moore is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my parents have never read a comic book. They know who Alan Moore is. Like, he's just ubiquitous, you know, with comic books and literature. I think it's honestly, I think it's a great book.
And
I
I
love
gotta
how
say
dark
too,
it
if
is.
you're a fan of, if you're, if you don't have time to read, if you're not like a big reader, on HBO Max they have it's the comic book but animated. And I know people are thinking, oh,
The
like an
motion
animated
comic.
movie. No, yeah, it's a motion comic where the
Yes.
panels are moving, but it's panels from the book, just pulled from the book, and it's read word for word from the script. Granted, there's not like voice actors. It's like one or two people doing the voices, but like they change it up to be different characters. Like the girl characters are all voiced by like a guy, but it's kind of funny because they try to do like
Yeah,
a guy,
yeah.
like a girl voice. But it's still good. It's you can literally like I read Watchmen and I watched that and it's the same thing. You get the same premise from it than you would reading it. So for people that aren't readers, definitely do that if you're a fan of watching things.
Definitely, definitely, yeah.
Yes.
The artwork I think is terrific as well.
Yes.
Dave Gibbons does a great job on the artwork for Watchmen.
It
But
really is
yeah, I
nothing like
mean,
that.
before the Watchmen, you didn't really get a lot of comic books that were as gruesome, as violent, and as in your face
Yeah.
as the Watchmen was. The Watchmen really changed
Nowadays
everything.
everyone does it.
Yeah, like I said, it changed everything for both good and bad. Um, a lot of people will argue Watchmen spawned a lot of those terrible early 90s image comic books,
Yeah.
which is fair. I think that's a fair argument to make because I think a lot of comic book creators saw what the Watchmen did and all they took was the violence. They just took the violence aspect of Watchmen, they put it in their own books, but they forgot why Alan Moore added that, why he added the violence, you know, to the books.
Yeah.
It
It was there
wasn't
for a
because he
reason.
wanted to make. It's not necessarily because he wanted to make a violent book. It's because he was trying to use the violence kind of like as a self reflection, kind of like, you know, this is kind of like what we're going through right now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this is, you know, like
That's how you
I'm
tell the
having a hard
story.
time explaining it because the
No,
Watchmen
I know
is
what you
just
mean.
so. It's a comic book that like you can take so much out of it. There's so much out of it that you can take from the Watchmen, even if it's your first time reading it or you go back reading it, you're always going to get something new out of it.
Yeah. I highly agree and it's a high recommend um by me as well. I think if you didn't cover it today, it would have been covered eventually on here cuz
I think so, yeah.
yeah.
I will say the one thing that sucks about the Watchmen is you're going to be on such a high when you're finished reading it.
Mhm.
And then the realization is going to set in. That's it. There's
Yeah.
no other really Watchmen comics.
I think like the only one I think it's like a precursor though that they are currently putting
Yeah,
out.
so DC a
recently
couple
did.
years ago had this line called Before Watchmen.
Yes.
And they tapped in like probably their most popular like comic book creators at that time to make like prequel books. They're all terrible. Please don't go out of your way to read them. They're all terrible. They're not worth your time. I will say, if you are interested in reading about the Watchmen characters after Watchmen, and you want to see them done correctly, read Doomsday Clock
I was
because
going to say
Jeff Johns does them well.
I didn't read Doomsday Clock yet, but I heard it's amazing.
It's worth reading. I don't think it's great, but I think it's good. I think it's worth reading.
I always heard I haven't heard a lot of negatives about it. I always heard people say like, yeah, like this is solid. If you're a Watchmen fan, definitely like check it out. That's what I've always heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's worth reading. I think it's worth reading just to see Guy Gardner punch Dr. Manhattan in the face. One of my favorite panels probably ever now. It's fantastic.
It's amazing. Freaking also real off the topic real quick. You're talking about iconic things. I saw the today at the comic book shop. I saw the Green Lantern cover where he has all the rings on his finger and he's all bugged out.
That's a classic '90s cover. Yeah,
I saw it in person today and I was like, whoa.
that's a classic '90s cover.
I was like, fuck, bro. I almost dropped the money on it. I was like, yo, that's kind of sick.
You could as well, again, if you really enjoyed the comic, if you read the Watchmen and then you read Doomsday Clock, you could watch the Zack Snyder movie.
Yes.
It's not perfect,
but it's still, I still think it's a very good movie.
I think Zack did, and I'll paraphrase this. I'm not a big Zack Snyder fan.
Mm-hmm.
I will give Zack credit that I thought he did as well as he could with adapting the Watchmen into a movie, which is not an easy task. It's very, very hard because there's a lot of nuances, there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of characters in the Watchmen. So there's a lot to do, but I think Zack did as well as he could with that movie.
I really enjoyed it. I watched the movie before I read it. Just because, again, like I didn't have access to the book at the time. But I enjoy that movie. I thoroughly enjoy it. I
will say this about the movie. Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a comedian, perfect
casting.
casting.
Oh my god, yes.
Perfect casting. Looks exactly
so
like
good.
him.
So good. Dude, cast him as anyone really and it's like perfect. When he was cast as Batman's dad in the Snyderverse, I'm like, yeah, I can see him as Earth 2 Batman. Like I can see that walking around with his guns and shit. I can see I put a cowl on him. I'm cool with it. I wanted to see it. We never got it. But I was like, yeah. That'd be cool.
Everyone, I think he's always going to be associated with playing Negan in Walking Dead.
Yes, and he's so much more than that.
Yeah, for me, he's the comedian.
Yeah. Damn, dude. Watchmen, great book, great movie. Yeah, I mean, it's what comic books should be. It's what comic books should be. Entertainment, drama.
I'm sure someone's going to listen to this and they're going to be like, man, he did a really poor job of explaining why he likes the Watchmen.
But we also don't want to spoil, like, for people. You know what I mean?
There are some things about the book that I could say, but I just don't want to spoil it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also hard to explain. Like I said, it's hard to explain the Watchmen because it has a lot of nuance to it. It has a lot of moving parts. It's really a fantastic book, and I think you should read it.
Yeah, we don't want to say too much and like give away things people that are new listeners or never read it before.
I think it's one of the few comic books that won like literature awards along with The Sandman.
Yep. Oh, Sandman's another one. We'll definitely have to cover that in the future.
Absolutely, which I think speaks volumes. Comic books are not seen as books that are quote unquote, literature worthy. And I think Watchmen and The Sandman really broke that mold.
Yeah. And I think nowadays, that's more what people shoot for now with books now, is trying to make them like that. But sometimes it's the books that don't try to do that really capture that. And I think Watchmen was one that just went out there and wanted to make a good book and fucking nailed it.
Yeah, I think it's a shame because I feel like Alan Moore, in some ways, I think he regrets making that book because of what came out of it.
Yeah.
But for me, and I've had this conversation with people, I was like, even if he didn't make The Watchmen, I think that would have happened anyways.
Yeah.
Because of just what we were gearing towards heading into the 90s. You take The Watchmen out of it, I think it still happens.
It happened anyway.
I think comic books still get, edgier, darker.
Yeah.
The void of color, blah, 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 blah. Like, I think that still happens even without The Watchmen.
I highly agree. But Ajax, thank you for highlighting Watchmen for this one. Thank you, listeners, for listening to our one shot here for free on whatever you're listening to. Next time we're on issue 5 for next month. We're going to be talking about dream comic characters that we want to write for. So we don't have to make storylines. We just have to list like some characters we'd love to write for. You know what I mean? If you want to talk about some ideas, go ahead. We don't have to. But I'm just going to name some characters I've always wanted to. If I had the time and was offered it, I'd do in a heartbeat. Whether it's comic, movie, TV show, cartoon, you decide. But yeah, Ajax, thank you again for hanging out with me for these. we will see you guys next time. Sayonara.